Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Syahrani, and in this video, I would like to present my reading report about the topic What Englishes for the Introduction to Sociolinguistic class. So first of all, I would like to explain about the spread of English, which is based on the reading material. Nowadays, the varieties of English exist and develop, and we call this as New Englishes or World Englishes, as explained by Mastery and Barth in 2008. The word English itself is used to emphasize that English is no longer a single base of a language of authority, prestige, and normativity. However, there are many perspectives who argue that not all Englishes are classified as the name New Englishes or World Englishes. Therefore, to obtain the suitable name that covers all varieties of English, it is decided to use the term English Language Complex or ELC, which was suggested by MacArthur. The ELC then comprised all the subtypes of English language, for instance, the metropolitan standards, the colonial standards, the regional dialects, and the social dialects. And the other subtypes are Pidgin Englishes, Creole Englishes, English as Second Language or ESL, English as Foreign Language or EFL. And however, from all of these subtypes of categories, some Englishes may have overlapping membership, such as English Hybrid, which is the mixed variety of English and Malay, based on Bhaskaran 1994. And other terms that are used are the non-native and native speaker, which depends on the competence of the ESL speakers. And additionally refers to the terms that has been explained briefly. So, to sum up, ELC is the entire set of Englishes. World Englishes represent all varieties except the first language varieties such as English in USA and UK, and the New Englishes refers to the ESL varieties and language shift varieties. Talking about the history of the English language complex, in the Old English period, where English derives from Germanic dialects, the Angles, the Jutes, Saxons, which then labeled as Anglo-Saxon or Old English. And in this period, many phenomena occurred toward English, such as regional dialects, ethnic dialects, social dialects, and other phenomena. And in the Middle English period, English was contacted with French as the consequences of Norman conquest. Therefore, there was convergence between these two languages, but it is more show up in English rather than in French. And in the early modern English, it is a new standard English emerged. It is the time a new standard. It is the time that new standard English emerged. The standardization of the pronunciation of English also began, but was not completed until the 18th century. And the results were the written and oral form of standard English also grew up. And for the modern English era, from 15,000 centuries onwards, English was spread through colonization by UK such as Wales, Scotland, and Ireland. So, the spread of English by former British colonies, it is successful through the expedition by British soldiers or sailors. English was spread along many parts of the world, such as in Africa, where English was introduced by trader William Hawkins when he wanted to cross to the Brazil in 1530s. And as British was superior at the time, English also established as a superior language. And then the history of English in USA was due to the successful expedition that established the colony of Jamestown in Virginia. And next in India, the case is the same with Africa, where English was introduced by the traders. Meanwhile, in the part of Asia, English was spread because the English teachers and clerks live in Asia. And for English in Australia was because the colonization of the European colonized. Therefore, from this history, the agencies who spread English are the sailors, traders, adventurers, and missionaries, which later on they turned into a formal colony. They called themselves as educational and other agencies that focused on the formal propagation of English. And a major factor that made English was spread successfully is also because the English teaching And the primary agent of propagation is the British Council, which created by British government in 1935. This provide many ways of other people to study English in Britain, such as by giving scholarship and others. And in the terms of models of English, there are several models of English that are proposed by some experts, such as the Tom MacArthur Circle of Word English, which in the form of a wheel model and conceives of a central variety called word standard English as an idealization. There is also Manfred Goldach's circle model of English, which looks similar with MacArthur's model, but it was more consistent, and outside the circle there are mixed varieties. Furthermore, Bhaskara brought a different model, which his model of word English was no longer concentric. However, in defining and differentiate the native and non-native speaker, a controversy exists. Some people argue that a native speaker is assumed to be one who has learned a language from birth without formal instruction. Meanwhile, a non-native speaker of a language has learned it as a second language. But this definition seems to be premised on the norms of monolingual societies, whereas in fact the word is largely multilingual. So that's all my reading report.